As human beings, conflict is part of life. We all have a separate set of value systems and belief systems. We have different experiences. We're going to see the world differently. And so sometimes maybe we're talking about the type of food or a movie or a political viewpoint, and we're going to find other people who disagree with us. So today we're going to talk about triangulation. When we have a conflict, A has a conflict with B and vice versa, A and B need to work it out. They need to stay focused and work it out together, if they can. Now, triangulation is when a third party is brought into the equation. Sometimes A might say, hey, don't you agree with me? And we'll bring that person into the party who may agree with A and start to also get on B's case, and so tag team them. Okay? What that feels like is being ganged up upon. So then B may be bringing in D into another conflict, or into the same conflict. And so now there's an argument, and we can keep expanding that out until there's just fighting going back and forth, and everyone's involved. And that's why it's really important, as much as possible, to keep that conflict between A and B. So let's look at this in a couple of scenarios. One, let's say a parent is getting a child into trouble. And when they're getting the child into trouble, maybe the other parent steps in. Maybe they feel like it's being too harsh of a punishment or not harsh enough. Okay, this is not a healthy approach. If a parent disagrees, they need to pull the other parent aside. They need to agree together so that the parent and child can resolve that conflict together rather than being sabotaged by the other parent. Sometimes people have said, you wait till your father gets home, or you wait till your mother gets home. They defer the conflict to the parent when they get home. Now, the problem with this is if we say to our child, you wait till your father or mother gets home, what we're saying is we're powerless to deal with that conflict. We have to wait for the person who has authority to come in. And so we will continue to have problems in relating to that child because the child's not going to see us in a power or in a place of authority. So really, if we have a conflict, if something's going on, we need to deal with it with that child. Sometimes we may be person C, and unwillingly we may get involved. Someone will say, well, what's your opinion? Or, don't you agree with me? Now, I'd be very, very cautious about jumping into a conflict between two other people. I would say things like, that's between you and them. You guys need to work it out. Don't get me involved. Okay? That's going to be able to then really deal back with those two individuals. Let's take a work setting. Sometimes someone might be passive-aggressive. They may have a conflict with a coworker, but instead of going to the coworker and saying, that was a problem, they go to the boss. And they say, so-and-so did this. Then the boss is in a bind. Do they go to person B and say, hey, there's this complaint against you? And person B may say, I didn't say that, I didn't do that. And then the boss is in kind of this difficult situation. Where really, if these two are able to work it out, and A goes to B and says, I have a problem, then maybe the boss doesn't need to get involved. Now, in cases where there is a lack of authority, so for example, if the two coworkers are trying to work it out, but they just cannot come to that conclusion, it may be appropriate to bring in the supervisor or the boss to help mediate it. In a divorce situation, bringing in someone like a mediator to try and work out the problems with that person. Definitely, if there is abuse in the relationship between A and B, there may need to be help, like in a domestic violence situation. So, bottom line is, if you've got a conflict, deal directly with the person. Go to them and say, this is a problem. Don't go and gossip about it. Don't bring someone else in and say, what do you think? Don't gang up on other people. make it a direct communication. That will really help. Thank you.